It's been a good week for Liverpool, getting past the disappointment of the Forest defeat with 2 wins on the bounce. And after Cody Gakpo won the plaudits in Milan, it was the turn of Luis Diaz to light up the left wing with a virtuoso performance against Bournemouth. Indeed, he's been Liverpool's most effective attacking player so far this season. So what is it that he's doing differently? Now, I'll get into that in a moment. But firstly, thanks to everyone for watching the videos on this channel. And I'm never going to give you that like and subscribe nonsense. But if you want to get involved, voice your opinion and have a bit of interaction, leave a comment down below. I love hearing from other Reds from around the world. And we've got people from every corner of this planet watching these, which blows my mind. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment and get involved. So, on to Luis Diaz. Now, Diaz now has 6 goal contributions in 6 games this season. While stats so far this term are obviously across a small sample section, it is pointing towards an improvement in what we saw last season when he faced regular criticism. Indeed, in pre-season, a lot of fans were looking for him to be sold as links to Barcelona and PSG persisted as the Reds were also pursuing Anthony Gordon. So is he actually doing better, or is he just hit a purple patch and got a bit lucky? Well, first off, let's take a look at his shot-creating actions, where there has been a big improvement. He has 5.8 per 90 so far this season, which is by far a career best for Diaz. Now, the majority of these have come from successful dribbles, but Diaz is actually carrying the ball less often than he did last season, but he is moving the ball further. Now, this is where the stats start to get a little bit interesting. Well, I mean, for me anyway. So, this season, he's carrying the ball into the final third more often, but he's carrying the ball into the box less often. Now, I mean, what does all this mean? Well, I think it's showing that Diaz is really working on his decision-making. We all know him as an out-and-out winger, but he's learning that doing less is sometimes more effective. Now, Diaz revealed that boss Arne Slot was working on one-to-one sessions with him in training, and I think that this slight change in the team's style is also having a positive effect on Diaz's game. Now, we can see that Liverpool look to control the ball and bait the opposition's press more. So there is less impetus on wide players to get forward as often, with Slot preferring his team to pick their moments. Now, this is a part of Diaz's game that was a specific criticism that he needs to improve his end product. So if we look at the game against Bournemouth, which obviously he scored 2 goals in, and I think that these both saw great decision-making. Now, for the first, he makes the run, which Konate spots. I think it's Salah and Nunes both go short. Konate spots the run, and after Kepa comes out of his goal, Diaz showed a great touch to leave the keeper stranded, and he was decisive and confident with his shot. Now, for the second goal, he stays onside and decides to use his left-favoured left foot for the finish, rather than trying to attack a more difficult angle using his right. For his other big chance in the game, he was criticised by some pundits, Stephen Warnock, for one of them. I mean, enough said about him. The better, after brilliant dribble into the box, which drew a very good save from Kepa with his foot. Now, the criticism was that he should have tried to find a teammate, but really, the penalty area was too congested and there just wasn't a better option at that moment. So shooting was the correct option for Diaz. Now, all in all, it was a brilliant performance from him and a great bit of work from Arne Slot, because I was convinced that Cody Gakpo would retain his place in the side after lighting up the San Siro in midweek, but Slot put Diaz back in, and now both Diaz and Gakpo know that they're in a fight for that spot on the left wing. I think it's also fair to point out that last season was Diaz's only full season as a Liverpool player. Now, he arrived in the January transfer window of the 2021-22 season, and he played a part in 13 Premier League games. Now, the next season, he only took part in 17 league matches, starting just 11 of them due to a knee injury which kept him out of the side from October until April. Last season, he took part in 37 league games, a very high amount with, I think it was 32 starts. But this season, well, that season was, of course, a transition one for Liverpool with a brand new midfield. And, of course, it was Jurgen Klopp's final season in charge. So it was obvious that there was issues with the team as a whole rather than problems being isolated to just individual performance. So there should be a hope that this is a fresh start, not just for Luis Diaz, but for a lot of players wearing red this season. And, of course, we've seen a new lease of life for the likes of Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberch in the early part of this season. So, as for the Bournemouth game, well, what else did we notice from the game? Well, I mean, Bournemouth were a different prospect than Forest, of course. Now, they played aggressive and played high-pressing football, whereas obviously Forest decide to stay deep and pick their moments. Bournemouth are a lot more proactive. But ultimately, they didn't have the legs to do that over 90 minutes. And at this level, you've really got to take your chances. And unfortunately for Bournemouth, they weren't able to do that. And this was another game where Liverpool did well in regards to set pieces. Now, obviously, they scored 2 set-piece goals against Milan. And this time around, although there were no set-piece goals, the Reds did face 9 corners, resulting in an XG of just 0.27 if you're into that kind of thing. So it was an area that they were totally in control of. Looking at individual performances from the game, let's start with Kelleher in goal. Some important saves from the lads. You know, it's obviously, you say he's a step down from Alisson, who I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. But with Kelleher, you don't really notice that step down too much. I think he's not as good with his feet as Alisson. But it takes incredible mental strength to be sat on the bench week after week after week. And then when you finally get that moment, I don't think he was expecting it to come against Bournemouth, probably more likely against West Ham. But he got that moment and he was mentally strong for the full game. I think he got caught out once. I think he was a bit ponderous with his feet. He reacted with a brilliant save, and there was some really, really good reaction saves throughout the game. And I think he's really surprisingly dominant in a 1v1 situation as well for someone with such a slight frame. It's really impressive. Moving on, Virgil van Dijk, totally boring, absolutely usual, 9 out of 10 performance. Just what you're used to week after week, fantastic. Ibrahim Konate, slightly erratic maybe, a little bit early on. I think he's been excellent since he came in this season, the second half against Ipswich. I think he was targeted in possession really by Bournemouth, trying to press him a lot. Early on, certainly, but he kind of got past that, and it was an absolutely fantastic ball for the first goal of the game. Andy Robbo, brilliant, steady Eddie, strong and stable. He's obviously his role has changed on the slot. He's a bit more conservative. He's less rampaging. He's picking those moments, but he's really good, and he's just picking those moments to pass the ball as well. He doesn't want to make any mistakes. It's all about maintaining control from the back, moving forward through the lines. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he was great as well. He was able to break through the lines as well, carrying the ball, including that assist for Diaz's second goal. At times he looked like a box-to-box midfielder, and he looked like he was really enjoying himself, doing a bit of a Steven Gerrard impression at times, and he played the full 90 minutes. It was a great one from Trent there. Ryan Gravenberch started off as more of a single pivot, as we've seen sometimes at Anfield this season, but he needed a little bit of help early doors. As I say, we've spoken about the Bournemouth press. Alexis McAllister dropped a little bit deeper to help him out there, to provide more passing options. Alexis McAllister, another excellent performance, another player who's been really good this season. He's always available. I think he really enjoyed that final third of the game where he ended up taking a lot more advanced positions on the pitch. And of course, he delivered the pass of the match to Mohamed Salah. Dominic Szoboszlai, bit of an up and down one. I mean, he's always shown for the ball, but it was maybe not quite the dynamic performance that we were hoping for after, you know, that excellent game against Milan in midweek. Now, he did most of his best work a bit deeper on the pitch, linking up play. But yeah, it was all right. It just wasn't as like maybe headline grabbing as what we'd maybe like to see from him. Luis Diaz, excellent, of course. We've gone through that today. Mohamed Salah, he probably should have got a goal against Bournemouth. He had several chances and he was involved in some big moments, but he needed to be a little bit sharper, and his decision making wasn't quite what it was. But, you know, I wouldn't exactly call it an off day, but, you know, I think there's obviously more goals in Mo Salah to come at various points throughout this season. You never write him off. Darwin Núñez, he got his chance and got a goal, so you can't really argue with that one from a forward. I thought he was brilliant in the build-up to the goal when he used his physicality as a target man to head down to Salah. And I'd like to see more of this when Darwin Núñez is on the pitch, you know, using them for knockdowns, because the team is just full of exceptional runners. Salah gives him the ball back, and Núñez finishes with an incredible shot, which he decided to take with his left foot. So that was good to see. It was a great goal. Now, out of the substitutes, it was interesting to see Federico Chiesa come on and be used as a central striker rather than on any of the wings, which I was expecting him to be more impactful on the wings coming on. But he was used as a central striker, which he's played there plenty in the past. Got a couple of shots off, got involved in the action, and I think he'll probably start on the right wing against West Ham this week. It was also great to see Curtis Jones get some more minutes. He looked sharp, did some great work with Alexis McAllister in the middle of the pitch, and he's another player who should start against West Ham. So after West Ham in the Carabao Cup, the next league game is Wolves away next Saturday tea time, and Wolves are rock bottom of the Premier League table at the moment. So it should be on paper a pretty winnable fixture. And I guess we'll get a better picture of where we are under Arne Slot after the next 15 matches or so. But for right now, he's got to be pretty happy with the start he's made at Anfield, as should Luis Diaz. Up the Reds.